October 14, 1944, 2:47 p.m., Reich Chancellery, Berlin. The German leader stared at one photograph. Boeing B-29, 141-foot wingspan, 33,000-foot ceiling, 3,250-mile combat radius. Numbers that made Germany's best bomber look like a training aircraft. German intelligence said it was impossible. Luftwaffe technical analysis concluded no bomber could fly 5,000 kilometers at 11,000 meters altitude while carrying 9,000 kilograms of bombs. Physics didn't allow it. Engineering couldn't. Supported. They were wrong. Americans had B-29s flying combat missions from China, bombing Japan from distances Luftwaffe planners called theoretically impossible. The leader had one photograph, 8 pages of specifications, intelligence reports from 3 neutral countries. Germany had denial, assumptions. Doctrine written for different war. This gap would define everything that followed. Before B-29, Germany's He-177 represented pinnacle of bomber development, 6,700-kilometer range, 6,000-kilogram bomb load, manual gun positions, unpressurized crew compartment. After B-29, American bomber flew higher, farther, carried more, remote-controlled gun turrets, pressurized cabin, central fire control computing bullet trajectories automatically. Strategic bombing doctrine changed permanently. How did America build what Germany's engineers called impossible? How did nation of shopkeepers create technological superiority so complete that warrior nation had no response? Answer sat in intelligence folder on the leader's desk. 8 pages, technical specifications, production estimates, deployment reports. The leader expected American bombers would eventually match German capabilities. Standard progression, predictable development. He had no idea Americans had entire generation of bomber design. What happened in next 90 minutes would force the leader to confront mathematical reality he'd spent 5 years denying. October 1944. Third Reich collapsing from 3 directions. Red Army advancing through Poland, 50 divisions, 6,000 tanks, momentum unstoppable. British and Americans grinding through France, Aachen under siege, Ruhr industrial region within bomber range, every day factories burning. Strategic bombing campaign accelerating. July 1944, 23,000 tons of bombs dropped on Germany. August, 31,000 tons. September, 47,000 tons. Pattern clear. Escalation continuous. Germany already lost Hamburg, 42,000 civilians dead in firestorm, lost Berlin's aircraft factories, lost ball bearing production lost oil refineries across Ruhr. Luftwaffe bleeding pilots faster than training schools could replace them. June 1944 losses, 687 fighters. July, 793 fighters. August, 1,115 fighters. American 8th Air Force operated 2,000 heavy bombers daily, B-17 Flying Fortresses, B-24 Liberators, escorted by P-51 Mustangs with drop tanks. German doctrine assumed escorts turned back at border. Wrong, P-51s flew to Berlin, to Munich, to Vienna, everywhere. Standard defense tactics failed. Intercept bombers after escorts leave. Except escorts never left anymore. Every assumption broken, every doctrine obsolete. And now this, photograph showing American bomber that made B-17 look modest. Germany's bomber development stalled 1942. He-177 represented best effort, twin-coupled engines, looked impressive, flew adequately. Problems: engines overheated constantly, caught fire, airframe structurally weak. couldn't maintain altitude with full bomb load. Pressurization system never worked properly. Production plagued by modifications. Every batch, different specifications. No standardization. Assembly line constantly stopped for engineering changes. Total production 1940–1944, 1,169 aircraft. Operational readiness 35% on average, rest grounded for repairs, engine replacements. Structural fixes. Luftwaffe tried various solutions. Attempt 1, improve He-177 engines. Result, 3 years development, minimal improvement, fire risk remained. Attempt 2, develop entirely new bomber He-277. Result, prototype only, resources diverted to fighter production. Attempt 3, focus on jet bomber 234. Result, too late, too few. First operational December 1944. Meanwhile, American bomber production 1944, 16,000 heavy bombers delivered. German production same period, 1,200 bombers all types. Ratio, 13-1 American advantage. Luftwaffe High Command kept saying, quality over quantity. German engineering superiority compensates for numbers. But quality wasn't superior anymore. And quantity mattered more than ideology admitted. September 1942, Reich Air Ministry Conference Room, Berlin. Albert Speer, Armaments Minister, presented intelligence report. Americans developing very heavy bomber. Estimated specifications exceed anything currently operational. Goering, commander of Luftwaffe, responded immediately. His exact words recorded in ministry meeting minutes. American bomber industry consists of shopkeepers playing with metal. They understand profit, not precision engineering. They build quantity because they cannot achieve quality. Speer pushed back. Intelligence suggests advanced pressurization system, remote gun turrets, unprecedented range. Goering interrupted. Impossible specifications. American propaganda designed to intimidate. Our He-177 represents bomber development peak. Germans invented strategic bombing at. Americans copy our methods badly. He continued, I guarantee any American super bomber will fail in combat conditions. German fighters will destroy them. Luftwaffe maintains air superiority through superior training, tactics, engineering. Speer presented production estimates. Americans may build several hundred per month by 1944. Goering laughed. Actually laughed. Several hundred bombers monthly, while fighting Japan, while supplying Britain, while training pilots. Impossible. Industrial capacity doesn't support such numbers. They exaggerate to justify defense spending. Then this, I stake my reputation. Americans will never achieve strategic bomber force matching Luftwaffe capability. September 1942, Goering staked reputation. October 1944, first B-29s operational. His reputation, worthless, his guarantee, proven false, his assessment of American industry, catastrophically wrong. Meeting adjourned. Intelligence filed, warnings ignored. The leader's own statements revealed deeper misunderstanding. December 1941, immediately after Pearl Harbor Declaration. The leader addressing Reichstag, America produces automobiles and refrigerators efficiently. But war machines require discipline, precision, engineering excellence only German culture provides. He cited American manufacturing. Mass production creates inferior products, acceptable for civilian goods. Inadequate for military equipment, requiring durability under combat conditions. His strategic assessment. America enters war with tiny army, limited aviation industry, no combat experience. They will require years building military capability. By then, Europe will be unified under German control. American intervention comes too late. That assessment drove decisions for next 3 years. Kept bomber production focused on tactical support for ground operations, diverted resources from strategic bomber development. Assumed American industrial potential was exaggerated propaganda. Never imagined shopkeepers would outbuild warrior nation 10-1. Never conceived automobile manufacturers would produce better combat aircraft than companies founded on military contracts. Couldn't comprehend industrial democracy, performing totalitarian central planning. October 1944, facing B-29 photograph, all those assumptions would crumble in 90 minutes. But the leader didn't know that yet. October 14, 1944, 2:45 p.m., intelligence courier delivered folder. Carried it personally to the leader's study. Unusual. SS typically delegated routine intelligence briefings. This wasn't routine. The leader sat at desk, afternoon light filtered through heavy curtains, Berlin outside, by bombing. Rubble piles marking where buildings stood, air raid sirens part of daily rhythm now. Placed folder on polished wood surface, sound seemed too soft for contents. My priority intelligence from Switzerland, American bomber designation B-29, through multiple sources. The leader opened folder, first page photograph. Taken from below. American aircraft photographed by agent or intercepted from U.S. military sources. Wings stretched wider than anything Germany produced. He stared at it, 30 seconds not speaking. Second page, specifications. Technical data, performance numbers, capabilities list. The leader's background, military strategy, tactical doctrine, force deployment. He understood aircraft specifications. Read technical documents regularly. Reviewed Luftwaffe development reports personally. These numbers didn't make sense. Wingspan 141 feet, that's 43 meters. He 177, 31 meters wingspan. Length 99 feet, 30 meters nose to tail. Service ceiling 33,000 feet, that's 10,000 meters altitude. Range 3,250 miles combat radius, that's 5,230 kilometers. Bomb load 20,000 pounds maximum. That's 9,000 kilograms. Crew 11 men, all in pressurized cabin, temperature controlled, oxygen supplied automatically. Armament 12 Browning .50 caliber machine guns, remote-controlled turrets, central fire control system. The leader had reviewed He 177 specifications 2 weeks earlier. He 177 range, 3,410 miles, similar to B-29. He 177 bomb load, 13,000 pounds. Less than B-29. He 177 ceiling, 26,000 feet, 7,000 feet lower than B-29. He 177 crew, unpressurized compartment, manual gun positions, no central fire control. The comparison formed in his mind, mathematical, undeniable. Americans built superior aircraft, not incrementally better, generationally superior. He thought about German engineering tradition, precision, craftsmanship. Technical excellence. Germans invented strategic bombing, Condor Legion at 1937, Luftwaffe doctrine written on lessons from Spain. Germans pioneered dive bombing, Stuka terrified Poland, France, Yugoslavia. Germans perfected night fighters, radar interception. Targeted British bomber streams effectively. How did Americans leapfrog entire development cycle? The leader looked up at His next question would expose how little German intelligence actually knew about American industrial capability. The leader's finger traced specification list. Pressurized cabin, explained this. Consulted briefing notes, entire crew compartment sealed. Air pressure maintained at sea level equivalent. Allows flight at 10,000 meters without oxygen masks. Crew operates in shirt sleeves. The leader knew pressurization problem. German engineers struggled with it since 1940. Pressurized cabin required. Perfectly sealed fuselage. No gaps, no leaks. Manufacturing tolerances extremely tight. Air circulation system, pumps, filters. Temperature control. Emergency depressurization procedures, backup systems. Structural reinforcement. Pressure differential between inside and outside created massive stress on airframe. He-177 pressurization attempts failed repeatedly. Seals leaked. Systems malfunctioned. Structural stress caused cracks. Development time attempting pressurization, 3 years. Result, abandoned as impractical. Americans made it work. Operational, standard equipment. Remote gun turrets, how does this function? Central fire control computer. Gunner sees target through periscope sight. Computer calculates bullet trajectory, air speed, altitude, target movement, gun elevation, bullet drop. Automatically aims guns. Gunner only pulls trigger. This represented completely different approach. German bombers manual gun positions. Gunner physically moves gun, estimates lead, fires, observes tracers, adjusts, fires again. Effective but limited. Required experienced gunners, high skill level, physical strength to move guns in slipstream. B-29 system. Gunner sat inside pressurized cabin, comfortable, warm. Used periscope sight. Computer handled calculations. Multiple gunners could control same turret. Redundancy. Flexibility. One gunner could control multiple turrets if necessary. System required. Analog computer calculating ballistics in real time. Hydraulic turret motors responding instantly to computer commands. Electrical connections throughout aircraft. Backup systems for redundancy. Technology level, closer to aerospace engineering than traditional aircraft design. The leader understood implications. This wasn't just better bomber. This was systems integration German industry couldn't replicate. Production B required. Advanced electronics manufacturing. Precision hydraulics production. Aluminum fabrication at unprecedented scale. Quality control, maintaining tolerances across thousands of parts. Trained workforce understanding complex systems. Supply chain coordinating hundreds of subcontractors. Each requirement individually challenging. Combined, represented industrial capability Germany lacked. 4 Wright R-3350 engines, each producing 2,200 horsepower. Germany's most powerful bomber engine, 1,750 horsepower. American advantage, 450 horsepower per engine. Multiply by 4 engines, 1,800 total horsepower advantage. That translated directly to performance. Higher altitude, faster speed, greater range, heavier bomb load. Power-to-weight ratio, fundamental physics. More power meant better performance. No engineering cleverness overcame raw power advantage. Americans had it, Germans didn't. The leader closed folder, looked at. Production numbers, how many have Americans built? Hesitated, this would be worse. Intelligence estimates, 150 aircraft delivered through September 1944. Current production rate, approximately 100 per month. By war's end, Estimates suggest 3,000 to 4,000 total production. The leader's face remained expressionless, but something shifted behind eyes. He stood, walked to window, Berlin below but functioning, rubble cleared from streets, people going about business. City adapted to bombing the way organism adapts to chronic pain. 100 per month. Germany's entire bomber production 1944, approximately 100 aircraft per month, all types combined. He 177, 88, do 217. Americans producing 100 B-29s monthly, while simultaneously building B-17s, B-24s, B-25s, fighters. Transports. Production ratio incomprehensible. Where are they deploying these aircraft? Pacific Theater primarily, operating from China and islands, conducting strategic bombing campaign against Japanese home islands. Not Europe Pacific. Implication hung in air like smoke. Americans built superweapon, didn't even need it against Germany. B-17s and B-24s sufficient for European theater. B-29 reserved for longer Pacific distances. Germany wasn't worth deploying America's best bomber against. Existing aircraft doing job fine. That recognition, more devastating than any bombing raid. The leader turned from window. I was told American industrial capacity was exaggerated. I was told their production statistics were propaganda designed to intimidate. I was told shopkeepers couldn't match German engineering. Voice quiet, controlled, taking on edge that preceded decisions. Who told me these things? Silent both knew answer, Goering, Air Ministry economists, Nazi ideologues. Everyone who believed German superiority was inherent rather than earned. How many He-177s do we have operational? Consulted notes. Current operational strength, approximately 80 aircraft. Total production since 1942, 1,169 aircraft. The leader's mind, which grasped military statistics instinctively, did calculation immediately. 1,169 built, 80 operational. That's 6.8% operational readiness. Catastrophic maintenance burden, chronic mechanical failures, structural problems, engine fires, pressurization abandoned. 1,169 aircraft requiring constant repair, spare parts, engineering modifications to remain marginally functional. Americans, 150 B-29s built. Intelligence reports suggested 85–90% operational readiness at any given time. Better aircraft. Better reliability, better support systems, better everything. The leader returned to desk, picked up photograph again. Stared at it, B-29 wings stretching across frame, massive, powerful, real. What he said next, according to witnesses present and post-war testimony, revealed he finally understood Germany had lost war that mattered most. The leader placed photograph on desk, carefully. Like handling something fragile. When he spoke, voice carried no anger, no bluster, just recognition. They have won. Started to respond, the leader raised hand. Not the battle, not the campaign. The war that matters, industrial war, production war, engineering war. He tapped photograph. This aircraft represents everything we failed to achieve, not through lack of trying. Not through lack of will, through lack of capacity. Words came slowly, each one selected precisely. I believed German engineering superiority would compensate for American industrial capacity. I believed quality would triumph over quantity. I believed our technical excellence would prove decisive. Pause. Long silence. I was wrong. 2 words the leader rarely spoke. Look at these specifications. Pressurized cabin our engineers couldn't perfect in 3 years. Remote gun turrets requiring computing systems we don't possess. Range exceeding our best bomber despite carrying heavier bomb load. Operational reliability we cannot match. He stood again, pacing now. Energy-seeking outlet in confined space. This isn't one aircraft. This is symptom of systematic industrial superiority. They built factories that build factories, production lines that produce production lines, training systems that create trained workers faster than we can educate engineers. Voice rising slightly, not anger. Realization. While we crafted individual aircraft like artworks, they mass-produced functional weapons. While we debated perfect engine design, they built adequate engines in quantity. While we maintained ideological purity, they hired whoever could turn wrench. He stopped pacing, faced directly. Henry Ford's assembly line principles applied to warfare. This is what it produces. Functional superiority through reliable quantity, not individual masterpieces, mass-produced competence. Gestured at photograph. Every B-29 probably has minor flaws, rivets slightly imperfect, paint not exactly uniform, components not individually hand-fitted. Pause. But they fly, they bomb targets, they return home, they fly again tomorrow. 100 new ones delivered every month. Each one good enough. Another silence. Meanwhile, our He-177 sit grounded, awaiting spare parts that don't exist because factory producing them was bombed by B-17s that are less capable than this B-29. They haven't even deployed against us yet. The mathematics of defeat laid out clearly, undeniably, mathematically. We cannot build this. Even if we had blueprints, we cannot build it. We lack production capacity. We lack resource access. We lack industrial infrastructure. Allied bombing destroyed what capacity we had. Soviet advance threatens what remains. He sat down heavily. The Americans have won the war of production. They won it before we realized it was the decisive battlefield. They won it in Detroit and Seattle and everywhere else. They won it with engineers and workers and system that turns resources into weapons faster than we can destroy them. Looked at photograph one final time. This bomber is just the proof. October 14, 1944, 4:30 p.m., meeting concluded. The leader kept B-29 folder, reviewed it repeatedly over following days. Ordered comprehensive analysis of American industrial capacity. Results delivered October 28, confirmed everything he feared. American aircraft production 1944, 96,318 aircraft total. All types. German production same period, 39,807 aircraft. Ratio, 2.4 to 1 American advantage overall production. Heavy bomber specific comparison worse. American heavy bombers 1944, 16,331 delivered. German heavy bombers 1944, 1,163 delivered. Ratio, 14 to 1 American advantage heavy bombers. The leader ordered Air Ministry to explain how America achieved this production rate. Report delivered November 3. Conclusion devastating. American industrial system employs standardization, interchangeable parts, assembly line production, distributed manufacturing. Single B-29 components produced at 60 different factories across United States. Final assembly at 4 locations. System allows massive scaling without centralized vulnerability. German production concentrated in fewer, larger facilities. Allied bombing creates bottlenecks. Destroyed factory cannot be quickly replaced. American system, one factory destroyed, others compensate. Resilient through distribution. The leader filed report, never referenced it again publicly. But B-29 impact was already spreading beyond the leader's recognition. Strategic bombing campaign about to enter final devastating phase. B-29 deployment accelerated December 1944. Japan became testing ground for strategic bombing doctrine that would define modern warfare. XXI Bomber Command established islands, Saipan, Guam. By December 1944, 100 B-29s operational Pacific. By March 1945, 300 B-29s operational. By July 1945, 1,000 plus B-29s operational. Bombing campaign escalated monthly. November 1944, 1,000 tons bombs dropped Japan. December 1944, 3,200 tons. January 1945, 4,900 tons. February 1945, 13,800 tons. March 1945, 31,000 tons. March 9-10, 1945, Tokyo firebombing, 334 B-29s. 1,665 tons incendiary bombs, 100,000 civilians dead, 16 square miles city destroyed, single most destructive air raid human history. Production never slowed. Total B-29 production by war's end, 3,970 aircraft. Cost per aircraft, approximately $639,000 in 1945 dollars. Total program cost, approximately $3 billion. Most expensive weapons program World War II. More than Manhattan Project at $2 billion. Americans spent more money building bomber than building atomic bomb. Deployed both against Japan. Strategic bombing doctrine proven, not theory anymore, reality. Cities destroyed from distances defenders couldn't intercept. B-29 at 30,000 feet. Japanese fighters struggled reaching that altitude. Anti-aircraft fire ineffective. Interceptor attacks rare, costly, unsuccessful. American bomber crews sat in pressurized comfort. Japanese pilots flew in sub-zero temperatures without pressurization. Oxygen masks required. Physical exhaustion after 45 minutes at altitude. Information asymmetry, equipment asymmetry, training asymmetry. Industrial asymmetry. Every asymmetry favored Americans. Post-war, historians researched the leader's reaction to B-29 intelligence. Found multiple corroborating sources. Albert Speer, Memoirs published 1969. The leader's reaction to B-29 intelligence marked turning point in his psychological state. He recognized Germany had lost industrial war. Affected all subsequent strategic decisions. General, Luftwaffe fighter commander, post-war interview 1952. By late 1944, understood air superiority permanently lost. B-29 represented technological gap we couldn't close. Affected morale throughout command structure. Adjutant, testimony Nuremberg trials. October 1944 briefing on American super bomber visibly shook the leader. First time I witnessed him acknowledge German inferiority in military technology. Found the leader's own statements December 1944, military conference. American B-29 bomber represents industrial achievement we cannot match. They produced in months what required us years to attempt. This demonstrates fundamental superiority of their system over ours. Rare admission from leader who built ideology on German superiority. Historians later concluded, B-29 existence, even without bombing Germany, achieved psychological victory. Forced the leader to confront industrial reality he'd, since 1941, Nazi ideology. German racial superiority guaranteed victory. Mathematical reality. American industrial superiority guaranteed defeat. Ideology couldn't overcome mathematics. Never could. Never would. B-29 changed strategic bombing doctrine permanently. Post-war analysis showed effectiveness varied by mission type. High-altitude precision bombing, relatively ineffective. Bombing accuracy poor from 30,000 feet. Target destruction rates 5–10%. Low-altitude area bombing, devastatingly effective. Firebombing destroyed Japanese urban areas systematically. Target destruction rates 80–95%. But aircraft capability itself proved concept. Long-range heavy bomber could strike anywhere, carry massive payload, return safely. Doctrine shaped Cold War strategic thinking. B-29 became template for B-50, improved version. B-50 led to B-36, intercontinental bomber. B-36 led to B-52, strategic bomber still operational 2024. Direct lineage from B-29 to modern strategic bomber force. Modern connection clear. American military doctrine still emphasizes technology overmatch. Precision weapons, long-range strike capability, industrial capacity enabling force projection globally. Principle hasn't changed since 1944. Build weapons enemy cannot match. Deploy them distances enemy cannot counter. Maintain technological superiority through continuous industrial investment. B-29 proved this approach worked, not through ideology, not through propaganda. Through actual bombing missions, destroying actual targets from distances considered impossible. Industrial democracy outperformed totalitarian dictatorship, not because democracy inherently superior morally, because democratic industrial system proved superior practically. Industrial capacity still decides conflicts. Ukraine 2020–2024, Western nations supplying weapons Ukraine cannot manufacture domestically. Artillery shells, anti-tank missiles, air defense systems. Production rates matter. Russia initially fired 20,000 artillery shells daily. NATO struggled providing Ukraine equivalent ammunition. Industrial capacity differential affected battlefield outcomes. Lesson remains from B-29 era. Whoever builds more, delivers more, sustains operations longer, usually wins. Not always, not guaranteed, but usually. Technology advantage temporary. Industrial advantage sustains. Germany had technological edge 1939–1941. Better tanks, better tactics, better training. America had industrial edge 1942–1945. More tanks, more planes, more everything. Industrial edge won, eventually, decisively. The leader saw this October 1944. Photograph of B-29. Recognition of defeat. Not through losing battle. Through losing production war that made battles irrelevant. Boeing factory in Seattle outproduced entire German aviation industry. That's why Allies won. That's why the leader lost. That's why B-29 mattered even without bombing Berlin.